What's up? And how do you enjoy meta, guys? Meta is, of course, a little bit different than we are. We are on the tunnel. How do you enjoy it? Is it fun for you?
Well, obviously it's not fun for everyone, as you might have noticed. Our esteemed friend, Sigmund owner, Sigmund enjoyer, in fact, is not here because he hasn't been playing that much of LLR and isn't really enjoying it right now. So instead, we have our boy GrandpaRoji, who has been playing in a lot of tournaments recently. Has been doing pretty well in them. You might have seen this guy like Worlds or something. I don't know. He's pretty okay. Roji, how are you feeling about the meta?
I'm feeling pretty good about the meta. I like a lot of the decks in Eternal. I like basically everything being played. I don't really like timelines, but most of the meta being played, I enjoy playing into it or playing as it. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think I agree. In general, like I enjoy Eternal a lot. Just like in general, I feel like I was very specifically targeted by Riot with rotation. They took every single card that I loved and rotated it. So standard is a fucking slog for me sometimes. But Eternal is just like so much fun. Honestly, one of the best things that Riot has done is made it just 1 out of every 3 months. That way I can't, play it too much and get it disillusioned with it. I get like the rush of dopamine for like 3 weeks of like doing broken shit, and then I get to forget about it for 2 months. It's kind of OP, honestly. The way that Riot has done Eternal is 10 out of 10.
I do like Eternal. I think like Eternal's fun, but I think it's fine that we have only 1 month and like 2 months on standard. Even though like I do agree, Eternal's like much more crazy. You're doing much more like stronger things and stuff. It's like so huge difference. Like like games usually tend to end early, like they end like turn 7, turn 8, but they really like end turn 5. Let's be honest, like very often, like when you're playing level your summer on turn 4, you're probably done, So, it's of course like feels different, and I like it now because like I feel like having just 1 month. I think if we had longer, I think people would maybe hate it a little bit more. And yeah, fuck timelines. But the meta is
fuck
cool,
timelines, fuck Rise.
Okay, let's not get too crazy here.
There's definitely still cringe in Eternal, right? Like I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that Eternal has no problems. But in general, I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I could play real ass Seraphine piles. I can play Flock. I can play fucking everything, dude. The other thing is like, okay, so I feel like in a normal standard meta, we usually have like 2 or 3 like actually good decks, and then there's like maybe like 5 like tier 2 decks, and then that's it. That's it. That's the whole meta. I feel like in Eternal, there's literally like 40 decks. I could literally make a list of like 40 really good decks right now that you can play right now. And like, yeah, if you won a tournament with like any of these decks, I'd be like, yeah, that's not surprising.
It makes sense,
you can
right?
play fucking anything.
And
like I don't know, I love that about Eternal.
I think we can see that, like just decks like popping off, like randomly, right? This is decks maybe that we also knew from the past, right? Like I don't know, Parrot just like popped off. I see a lot of people like, I don't know, once again talking about so many aggro decks, they're just like popped off after the LA, maybe a lot of Action Samira, then like just the aggro decks make also sense just to be, especially into when Action Samira was so much played. I think it also makes kind of sense. And yeah, it's like I said, like I'm gonna be going into open and I'm gonna be like, okay, I think I can meet like these 30 decks. And like I'm not gonna be like, okay, this deck is 20 deck on this spreadsheet, and it's not a meme, right? It's actual deck. I don't know. It's like there's so many good decks, and like I don't know, not to stretch, right? Like I don't know, 24th most played deck. I think this deck is pretty good. Like for example, so
it really seems like
right?
Like every archetype kind of has at least 4 or 5 decks that you can play in it, and there's a lot of variety between the things that you can play within those archetypes. So like almost everybody has something that they can play that is good and they will do well with in like a tournament or even on ladder. So it's really, really cool to see that with Eternal. It's so fun.
I think again, like in standard, we very much have had metas where it's just like here's this one board-based deck, and here's this other board-based deck, and here's like this control deck that's also secretly a board-based deck, right? Like you have like very samey decks across the board, but like in Eternal we have aggro. Aggro is really fucking good. We have real ass like combo that like goes over the top of things. Nasus, fucking Nasus vaults, this deck that's been like destroying standard, you know, for the last few months. It being, you know, like this perennial powerhouse cannot exist in something like Eternal because we have real ass combo and real ass aggro. Like it's so refreshing to have these decks, to have these options available.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, right.
well,
you keep
well,
scrolling and I keep seeing like real fucking decks. Like,
Yeah.
what was that? At like 30 is fucking the
timelines.
fearsome soul cleave deck.
Oh yeah, so the
Like-
circuit, yeah. But that's like
yeah, like it's just it's real decks like all the way down.
like something, yeah. But like there's some, of course, like some toxic decks. I think, especially I think like a lot of people would agree that like, you know, it's something like timelines. So I think that's, I think triple timelines are enough. Even though I don't think it's the greatest thing that you can do, I think it's doable. I think the especially Champless are coming back now, kinda. I think Wako is having a lot of success. And like you can see it. Like, of course, something like to be, you know, looking at the stats, they are mostly fake. You know, let's be honest.
Mhm.
I don't know if people know that, but I think we've seen BaJAtak make the most crazy win rate we ever seen. How many games it was? I guess it's not that anymore, but Kaz had 120 games with 90% win rate. So of course, like
Jeez.
that just kind of shows that maybe the data, even though of course Kaz is maybe one of the best, if not the best EU player currently, of course winner of the last Open, but you know it's still these numbers are so crazy that you know they are a little bit fake as well. So that's something to, you know, be looking like. In standard, if you have deck with 56% win rate, I think it's actually broken. But in Eternal, especially because of as well matchmaking, it's not that case.
Yeah, no, there definitely are. We have the classic Eternal issue, which I think we'd kind of hoped would go away. Where matchmaking's a little fucky right now. And basically everyone could get a high win rate with almost anything. Yeah, so a lot of the stats are a little fake. You know, it's a bummer. I wish that we had, you know, stats that we could put a little bit more confidence into, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it takes like your standard MMR into account whenever it's matching you in Eternal.
So I agree with you, but I 1,000,000,000,000%, while like being top 10 on ladder, have queued into like honest to God silver players. Like you queue in and they're silver, and then you click in the upper left and it'll show like their highest rank, and it's still silver, and it's like, oh fuck, dude, wait.
That's standard rank as well, I think, if you click on them. And I think that happened now for Lobster. I think like Lobster was today playing Athena and he met like rank 2, even though he wasn't playing for many months, right? So,
which, to be fair, Lobster might carry over MMR, right? Like his account might carry over MMR if there was MMR, but at the same time, like homie had a really high win rate, but the thing is, like, it's not an isolated thing, right? Like we've seen this problem come up quite a bit. Reddit, oh my god, if you've ever scrolled through the Reddit, there's like every single day there's like 3 people that are like, you know, why the fuck am I queuing into Tuxin? He's like the second rated guy on ladder right now. I'm in silver, and it's like Tuxin's out here actually fucking destroying the player base by farming silver players. It's kind of fucked up.
And then he's like, I get you, fucking Tuxin, man.
Fucking Tuxin.
But like we can see so many, like we can see so many real decks, and like, but of course, like like if you're having success with the deck on ladder, I do definitely recommend you going into scrims, because like you can get really easily baited this season in ladder once again, as we had it 3 months ago. I think.
Speaking of bait, I don't know if we want to talk about like specific decks, but have you seen this Braum Lulu deck?
Yeah, I've seen.
Gosh.
It's infinite.
It was there for the creation of it.
Yeah, Infini out here once again. Disclaimer: the last few Infini deck lists, you know, that I have said didn't look good. So you're talking like Jax Varus, Samira Varus. These turned out to be like really broken decks, right?
Yeah.
So to be clear, Infini makes a lot of like really broken decks, and I say they're dog shit. This deck, kind of dog shit, but like it kind of slaps. It slaps a little bit. Braum spitting out a Poro that like buffs up your Warden is like kind of nuts, and like Braum might be 4-mana chompers, but also like he's not that bad.
Braum is pretty good in
there's
this Invoke meta, especially. I think like he's not bad. Like Invoke decks
Mhm.
cannot deal
This,
with him. Like
This deck is like a really linear, but like if you can't answer what this deck is going to do to you on turn 8, you will just like fall over and die.
And even before turn 8, you're putting out like some stats. Like your first couple turns aren't great, but like you're playing like a 3-mana 3/3 challenger. You're playing like Combat Cook. You're playing Saurion. You're playing a lot of these like support units. So once you get like 2 out on board, suddenly your opponent just like never gets a good trade again, right? Like it's not bad. Like it is definitely the most playable Braum deck that we've seen in a couple years.
yeah.
And it is just funny to see Lulu Braum Warden of the Treads, and it's like this is a good deck, and it's like what the fuck?
Like Rodent buff is big, and I think especially Tochen is one of the best meta it ever had. Like let's be honest, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of Samira, and Tochen is just the best way how to answer this, right? So of course it's also making sense, right? I think it's pretty good meta for it. But yeah, it's very interesting to see it. It's the infinite build though, and like every time I play it, then it means it's good because we saw that with Tristana Birch, we saw it with Jax Varus. So I haven't still jumped on it, but maybe I will, and then bait everybody before open. That's maybe the tactic.
Yeah, no, it's certainly something. Yeah, no, we're still cooking lists, day to day. Here's the thing that I think is funny. I don't know if you follow Majin's YouTube, but I love following Majin's YouTube because like day to day I could be like, I'm pretty sure this deck is dog shit. But he puts out a video on it, and then it has like a massive spike in play rate. I'm seeing Annie Ezreal on your screen right now. I'm pretty sure this deck is dog shit. Yeah. No one was playing it. Majin said, okay, but what if we did play it? That shit has like a 50% win rate for like a day and a half, and everyone's like, I think this deck might be good. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it's terrible. And then like a couple days later, he did the same thing with like Lee Viktor. We'll see where Lee Viktor lands, but Majin does this. It's funny.
He's single-handedly trying to manipulate the meta into what he wants to play.
Exactly. he just plays his good deck. But honestly, sometimes he like changed the meta, right? Like I think like sometimes he
sure.
he is definitely like I think he's honestly I think he's kind of like you. I think he's like really like in some of the decks, and the decks are very similar to the ones that you like. And very often like it happens that you play it, he played, and like accidentally it's like wrong meta, right? I think we had later like with Seraphine decks in the past a lot. So I'm not surprised about that. I think this deck is pretty mad if we want to touch
if this deck was good, I'd be very happy. I love this deck. But yeah, it's sus. It's a little sussy, just a little sussy.
Yeah, I think Ezreal is basically too slow for current meta. I think that's like the issue.
If Invoke didn't exist in its current state, then yeah, probably.
Speaking of Ezreal, so like one thing that really is a strike against this deck, even if it was a solid deck, I think there's like 3 better PNC Nox decks. I think that like discard aggro, like Jinx is really fucking good. I think Samira Draven is really good, and I've been back on Seraphine Samira. Yang Zera climbed really high with it this last week and has been having a lot of success. So I started playing it again, and I'm having a lot of success. I am still on the one Ezreal in this list because I like the over the top, and like sometimes you just get locked on board and like Plaza Guardians aren't enough. But yeah, big fan of this deck. I loved it the last time it was around. It was pretty bullshit. It's less bullshit now because it doesn't have like Legionary Charge, but it's still a little bullshit. How do you guys feel about this deck?
When I see this deck, I'm just always like, sure, it's a very good deck. I think this is like maybe one of the best decks in the game. But then I remember that there's like Samira Zoe, there's Samira Action. I just think that this is like, maybe third, maybe fourth best Samira deck, and that's my issue with it. I think this deck is amazing, but
the thing is, if you look at the matchup tables, guess which one beats every other Samira deck? This one crushes the Samira mirrors. We're talking like 55% into every single Samira mirror.
Yeah, it's a lot more proactive of a Samira deck than some of the other ones. I know the Invoke one is pretty proactive. It's kind of like an aggro deck, but this one does have all the tools to deal with those kind of aggressive hands from it. But yeah, I tried out this deck earlier in the patch whenever I was trying to find like what Samira deck I wanted to play, and I thought it was really good. It beats, like you're saying, all the Invoke things or the other Samira decks, which is really attractive, especially into like Auction Samira. But yeah, I think it's a good deck, but I'm not sure if it's the best Samira deck, and I'm really interested in trying to figure out like where the best Samira slot goes. If anything, I think this is like the second best Samira deck. Like if you're going to be playing Samira in your lineup, it should be either like the best Samira deck or which I think is the Zoe Samira, or you should be playing this Samira deck.
I think you should absolutely be playing Samira in your lineup. I think that the card's just crazy and eternal. You should be playing a Samira deck. I think the nice thing about this one is out of all the Samira decks, this one sucks into aggro the least. Samira Auction sucks into like every rearguard deck. This deck like has major game into like every aggro deck. Zoe Samira is like pretty okay, but gets shit on by discard. But it has like game into the other aggros. But yeah.
I think what I had issue with is like I think it's really inconsistent since you're not playing the Legionary Charge anymore, even though some people do. I guess you have to play. I don't know. It was so feeling so inconsistent when I didn't play this card, but
yeah, you could just run like one copy. There's so much draw. Like that's the thing, right? Like you flip Seraphine and you draw like 8 cards, right? Like just instantly. That's the nice thing about this deck is it's just like it's flipping Seraphine really early, like turn 6. And if you have like a Samira or an Ezreal on board, like you just blow your opponent out of the water. Yang wouldn't listen to me when I said they should be playing an Ezreal in this. For some reason, people don't want to. Last meta, it was good because it helped out in like the Orange Jax matchup, which is a deck that hasn't come back. Kind of surprising.
I'm not surprised. I think like the fish fight hit and like the Jax hit sucks. I think the Jax hit sucks for that deck. It doesn't suck for the Jax timelines, but it sucks for this one because you don't have the block value, right? So and that's something that Jax earned it. So
yeah, like a troll champ block or something.
Huge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But no, I think that there's a lot of like board states where you just kind of get stuck on board. And I like having the Ezreal over the top. I just really like it. I think I'm running it over like a Samira. Samira, of course, is fucking crazy in the deck, but like I just like Ezreal.
Yeah, I do see that. So I think that's also interesting that I think like I guess we see a lot of like in the meta we see a lot of decks that we knew from the past. I think Action Samus maybe outstanding, but we saw it even in standard. I was playing it even last Eternal, and I was like, it misses something. I think Vasta that it got was something that the deck maybe needed. Having another access to deny. As well, the buffer action was of course huge for this deck, so I'm not surprised we see this. But something that I wanted to touch on, I think something completely new, and that's fair Galio, and that's Mate Seeker, because I think Mate Seeker is just perfect meta for him now. Like, he's so good. Let's be honest on that.
Junior is so fucking good. It like destroys all the glaive decks. It's really good in Invoke. It makes Samira cry. It makes Seraphine cry. Junior's a crazy card. I want this deck to be good. My issue with this deck is that it sucks into aggro, which honestly there's kind of a trend for a lot of these decks where they just like are not good into aggro. So what I have been talking about, I haven't tested it. I don't know if someone wants to test it later today with me. I think like Mage Seeker Junior Scouts might be like the meta breaker, because like it has like the junior matchup tables of beating like all the spell spam shit while also being low enough to the ground that like it doesn't suck in aggro. It would suck.
Maybe, yeah. I think this deck is like really interesting. Like first of all, we've never seen a Galio deck that was remotely meta in any capacity. But now that we have like Ballin allowing this deck to actually like become a real deck, being paired with the new card of Junior as well, it makes for like a pretty formidable deck, and
Oh my god. Kick him. Get the fuck. Come on, bro.
it's really interesting to see. It's almost like mono, like elites, but like it's a different flavor of that, and it's not as I don't know, uninteresting as elites.
Yeah. Also, like the newly changed CS, I guess. I think it's buffer this deck, and like for a lot of these decks, it's a buffer CS.
Mm-hmm.
Something honestly I want to just give shout out. Like I think the change is just amazing because there's no the degeneracy on the elusives with the Tristana. I know that you had to, and I think CS is just healthy card now. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, I think it's completely healthy, and it's still end games, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of
Yeah,
the CS change.
This card being played on defensive turns it's a huge buff now. Especially like if you get a leveled up Galio and then you play this on the following turn, like you just get the rally like 3 times.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, no, this deck definitely is solid. I will say I've definitely seen quite a few hands that are just like unplayable. You know, it's the classic Demacia. You throw out your units, you close your eyes, and like you're not running a ton of interaction. You know, your interaction is throwing like 8 attack 1-drops at them, or 8 health 1-drops, I guess. And making them block, but
I guess you have some challenges, right? Like Fiora, Attacker, Broadwing, but at Captain America is pretty good, by the way. Like I think this card is very good, but yeah, the interaction is definitely
really good.
Yeah.
The Eric above combined with like Junior is so good because you get the non-spell interaction. And like it's really hard to kill Erica. Especially a lot of the decks that like should be able to kill Erica are getting fucked by Junior, right? And you are running like just super efficient like health buffs in like the Galio spell and Troll Chant. Like it's hard to kill these things. This deck definitely is a deck that exists and will be meta impactful, but I think my biggest complaint about it is just that it sucks in aggro. And like we do this every Eternal where like it seems like people forget how broken aggro is when it has rearguard. Rearguard is a broken fucking card. Because like especially with how much burn we have in the game right now, if rearguard hits once, your opponent's just in burn range. Right, like the amount of times I've played this Shraven Samira deck, that's probably the deck I played the most this patch. And like I'm on triple decimate, triple blowback, triple get excited, double mystic shot, and if I hit like twice, you're just gonna die. Like I'm going to burn your ass out eventually. Yeah, no, I think the aggro is very, very, very real, and very, very, very likely to be strong going into this. Like I don't think that you can bring a lineup that's soft and aggro and just like avoid it 9 rounds. Like it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, that's my most issue with like Action Samurai. I think Action Samurai is so good because it's taken out ever invoke. I think it's like beating also a lot of decks, but just the aggro just sucks. Like you cannot play that matchup actually.
Yeah, that's like the really big worry with bringing Action Samira right now. If you hit a triple aggro lineup with the Antigen, the Pirate aggro, and then literally any other aggro deck, it's game over. You crumble.
I think that like Pirate is like beatable. I think like if you look at aggro decks, I think like Pirates are the most beatable currently, I would say. I think they're kind of sus, but
it's like last Eternal, right? Where like the aggro lineup, the third deck was like Poppy Ziggs, and it's like, okay, Poppy Ziggs is super beatable. Like I can beat this deck. I think that Pirates is very similar. Where I look at Pirates, I'm like, I could beat this. They can have like relatively, you know, like not great hands, and then they just run out of cards pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think.
Are you looking at the double up? Double up's broken, bro. Come on.
Whenever you're looking to beat an aggro deck or an aggro lineup, you're probably looking to beat Pirates, because like it's generally the weakest aggro deck of all of them, or at least the one that's easiest to beat.
Yeah, I think that like whatever PNZ Nox deck they bring, that's the broken one. Like whether it's the Jinx deck or not, it's the one that's gonna like blow your ass out, or blow your back out. Blowback? Annie Jin requires like a specific hand. If it has the hand, you just don't beat it. Like if it's like double stage hand, you're just dead. I don't care what you're playing, you're dead. But like Pirates, less so.
It's still so sad that we don't have the Desert here because, you know, he was the blowback sack, right? It was, I think, one of the
blowbacks.
one
Hey,
of
but
the.
he was telling us from day one that rearguard was broken. For a long time, I was like, is it really that broken? But the amount of times I played a 3-2 on turn 1 and my opponent didn't have a 2-1 and they lost the game instantly, I was like, okay, no, you're right. It's broken.
It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
That said, one thing I will say is I've been playing a fair bit of aggro. Cosmic Youngling makes me want to fucking bounce castle, dude. Fuck Cosmic Youngling. This stupid fucking card. It's so broken. It's so broken.
I'm finding the version with some monument, the Aphelios Viktor, because I think that's something else I wanted to touch on, because that's kind of also kind of hot test. But you can go
If they
around.
get like
It's
2
the
young
Reddit
ones,
tech.
it's over.
Mhm.
It's completely over against
Yeah,
aggro decks.
Yeah, it's Jayce is so good. Like, he's so useless against every other deck, but if you meet Aggro, you're like, holy, I just win the game. But yeah, this is like the new
Cosmic Youngling
hotness
is such a
with
crazy.
Sub Monument and Starlit Epiphary. It's pretty funny deck and it's doing pretty well on stats as well. What do you think about this combo?
It's definitely really funny. You get to do the funny meme thing with the monument and Epiphany. It's really funny whenever you get to do it and it works. Like, it's awesome.
I think the Epiphany half of it's like pretty meme. I think some monuments are broken fucking card, and like I think that this is like a pretty reasonable way to play it. And like the nice thing about this deck, or another version of this, whether you do the sub monument or not, is that it doesn't need Zoe, right? And like that's kind of what a lot of people are looking at with their invoke decks. Is like, I know that Zoe makes a really good invoke deck. What's like my second invoke deck, and what's maybe like my third invoke deck? And like Aphelios Viktor in this way, I think is like a super solid non-Zoe invoke deck. Whether you want to play like Zoe Samira, I'm gonna be testing like Zoe Diana to see, if I can play like Samira in a different deck to see if that's like worth it. How do you feel about invoke like in general? Do you think it's like the meta crusher that like it feels like it is, or how do we feel about this archetype?
I was playing double invoke in Master and Kota Open. I can even show it. I was playing Viktor Zoe and I was playing Samira Diana. That was like my call that I wanted to play kind of Zoe Samira, but twice, right? So I did it this way. That I think like for example, like I think invoke deck needs at least one of these champions. I think invoke deck needs Zoe or it needs Samira. Best is of course to have both of them, but you kind of need that. But maybe this Aphelios might be the way that you don't need one of them at least. And I think invoke is good, but maybe the doubling isn't worth it. It really depends, but I think doubling is decent still, though. But it's not necessary. I think it is very good, but not necessary to double. I think.
Yeah, I think Invoke is a really strong archetype now. With like Cosmic Call is an incredibly broken card. You basically get to play a leveled up Aesol on turn 5, and then from there you get to reap the benefits of just playing these crazy discounted cards throughout the whole entire game. And like if you hit a Living Legends, the game's over. You just like win the game on turn 7. There's just no question about it because they're playing so many cheap, huge invokes that are just going to pummel your face in.
I think.
Go on. Go ahead.
Okay. Something that I want to mention that I think even though everyone's like talking about Cosmico and stuff, I don't think I think it's very strong and it's like amazing finisher. But I think static peak is really the reason why the invoke decks are even a thing. I think like peak is pretty broken in my opinion. Like I think this card doesn't make much sense, and especially if you get, I don't know, from this like Serpent and I don't know, Equinox, like this card is just crazy to be honest.
The thing is that like half of the pool is just ridiculously broken, right? Like when your low roll is like, I hit a 1-mana 4/1, right? Or it's like, okay, well, I mean, you're doing pretty fucking well. If you hit Snake Ever, if you hit like Moonsilver, if you hit Equinox, even like Crescent Trick, right? Like you have so many amazing hits. Start to Peak is very, very, very good. I've kind of been avoiding playing invokes in general because like the mirrors make me want to jump off a cliff. Like it's just it's the most obnoxious shit on the planet. But yeah, which is why I'm asking, because I don't have as many reps playing it. I've played against this deck quite a bit. Fucking Yang Zero was running interference for it, and he's like, they do 8 mana do nothing. Just punish them for 8 mana do nothing. Okay, bro. Okay, bro. Surely when they go Scryer into 8 mana do nothing, and then like just fucking bend time and space itself to spend 10,000 mana on turn 6. So true. Just punish them, bro.
Well, though, to be honest, like what I was doing with especially Samira Zoe, like very often what happened to me, I was like very modding on stream even with it because I played Samira and my opponent did 8 mana do nothing, and I was like, okay, I guess you're dead. Like, you know, that's just I guess the power of Samira, but like that happened so often that like it just became kind of me because like especially the Zoe Samira just kills you, like you just vanish very often.
I was watching someone earlier who was playing into timelines, right? And they trade off 1-drops on turn 1, and then on turn 3 they're 6 wide and swing for like 14 damage. And it's like, what the? You're playing the late game deck. What the hell is this?
That's what I like about the Zoe Samira.
Yeah, they hit like snakes as well as like the starry scamps, right? Like scamp is a crazy. Okay, here's my issue with this deck. Scamp is really good at emptying your hand. If you don't hit LL though, Scamp sucks ass. This card is terrible. I see so many players that just like have 2 cards in their hand on turn 4, and then like they just don't hit. If you just don't hit LL or you don't hit Scryer, like you just can't win the game. I feel like this card is so fucking.
I mean, yeah. The only thing I have to say to that is just hit LL. Like,
just hit forehead.
But then, like, let's be honest, like, Cosmic Call, if you hit LL and if you don't hit LL, like, the power level is a little bit different, definitely. But yeah, I think this deck is very decent. And
I think the other thing that's huge for this deck, is the change to all the big invokes that you don't need to have another Celestial in hand. Being able to just like play 5 mana Supernova, and like not have to worry about like having another Celestial is like so fucking good. Supernova is a real fucking card right now. I remember when like 9 Man's like, I don't know if this card's that good. Supernova is fucking crazy right now. When you hit it, you're so happy.
So it costs 5 mana, right? So then, like, of course, it's crazy, right? I think also like something that we didn't mention. I think Sparkle use, especially on Samira, is like giga crazy. Like giving Spell Shoot to Samira, yeah, I think that's kind of busted. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, going Star Tipped on 1 into Samira on 2 into Giddy onto Samira on 3 is just like, oh, I guess I just win the game. You can surrender now.
Yeah, it just makes one card unkillable. Like, you know, whether you pick Zoe, whether you pick Samira, it doesn't matter. You just pick one, and it's like, okay, well, this champ is just gonna sit here for the rest of the game.
And then you get the invoke, so like even if they destroy a spell shoot, you're able to give it another spell shoot, right? With the 2 health as well. So that's also what happens. But I think this deck is good, and like I have a hard time cutting this deck from my lineup because I think how good it is. But I don't know. I'm still thinking about the Samira decks, as I was saying. I don't know. I want to play this so much, but maybe the way is just to play Zoe Viktor, that I think also is powerful, and like defense Samira deck or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's the issue, right? Is that like Samira just like has so many good decks. Like there's at least 4 like, you know, tier 1 Samira decks, and like which one you decide to play, you know, 100% up to you. But you really can't go wrong. Samira's just like insane.
The cool thing about that is the Samira falls into basically every archetype. She's got like the combo with like the Plaza Guardians, or I guess you could even say like the Zoe Samira. And then these are also both kind of like control decks. And then you also have like the aggro deck with the Draven Samira. And it's just really cool. She's like fulfilling every single archetype's needs. So like every archetype can play her.
Like, can we remember that she got like 2 nerfs already, by the way? Can we talk?
Yeah.
Like how good she was, especially in standard, like with all, like, yeah, it's kind of funny to just think about it the other way. Like how good she was.
2/2 all out. 2/2 all out was like ridiculously fucked up, right? But like being able to flare and give anything challenger,
like Pantheon,
was
right?
just so insane. It was so broken.
I miss it, dude. Every time I have just a naked flare in my hand with no Samira on board, I'm like, this card is useless now. Like, come on. I could at least pull something with my 1/1 over here.
It's discard further. What you mean? You can just discard it at space or deal 1 damage.
Oh, true,
right?
true.
So yeah.
No.
Do we have something to mention?
Samira
Do we have
good.
something to talk about, or is that do you have any deck that you want to maybe higher because like we can I guess talk about timelines because we have 3 of them now, but if there's nothing else that we missed.
Not that I can think of.
And we could talk about timelines, right? You know, fuck timelines. It should have gotten removed from the fucking game. They're playing 2 mana Cosmic Inspiration. Somehow Targon is playing 3 mana Cosmic Inspiration, and it's still not as good as timelines. Like, I don't know, man. This shit is just. I'm just done playing against this deck. I don't even know if it's like that crazy of a deck, to be honest. Like when I play into it, I beat it quite a bit. You know, it like sometimes even when it has, you know, like the really strong curve, sometimes you just kind of run them out of cards. Like it's not the most broken deck on the planet.
Yeah.
I'm just done playing against it. I just really don't want to play against it anymore.
Also, it sometimes just wins because it just played timelines into combat cook, and we're like, yeah, I lost because they got Kirk, you know, and yeah.
I played like 20 games of this fucking deck. I didn't have turn 2 timelines in a Fireth a single time. All of my opponents have fucking turn 2 timelines into Fireth, into Castaway, into Combat Cook. And it's like, I can't play the fucking game. When I play this deck, I can't hit shit.
Yeah. Like they have timelines into fucking Castaway and hitting Narcotic, and I'm like, okay, I guess I lose, you know, like fucking Narcotic, man. And fucking I guess Combat Cook has more like stupid hits, but it's not something like that you just auto win sometimes. That I guess making this deck maybe a little bit too good sometimes.
Thing is, Combat Cook, every single time that they play Combat Cook, it's gonna spit out something disgusting. Like it's gonna be a revolting card that comes out. I don't care what they pick. I'm gonna see it. It's gonna have like fucking 8/6 stats and like a keyword and like it also has text on it. And I'm like, what? I'm physically revolted every single time that Combat Cook comes out. Yeah. Like it's not even high rolls. It's just disgusting no matter what.
Yeah, it's like weird. But then like yeah, this deck has definitely some weaknesses. It's losing to invokes. I would say like pretty consistently. Even if they even like I've won so many games into it, even if they had like higher games, because I just play invoke, right, and we can see it here. Yeah.
That's the thing, right? Is I think that this deck, like, I don't know if you have to ban it. Like, I think that this is just like a beatable deck.
It's a good deck, though, but it's beatable deck.
It's very good. It's very good, and like it will have stupid hands that just like own you.
Yeah. Whenever they oh, sorry. Whenever they like just don't draw timelines, this deck just does not feel like it actually does anything. And I've never, I don't know, I just like don't have an issue with it whenever it's not drawing timelines. But
it goes with Vi sometimes, you know, like Vi Overwhelm is like crazy.
Vi Overwhelm will get you, but yeah, like whenever they do hit the Croc off of Combat Cook with Scout, it's just like, this is why I hate this deck. You know, I never want to play against something this, you know, wide variety of cards that you can just like get blown the fuck out with. It's not really fun.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, it's only broken because of Weapon Masters, though, right? Like Weapon Masters are kind of like maybe due for a nerf. You know, maybe we've had like 5 metas in a row where like Weapon Masters are at the top of the meta. You know, it's in different flavors, but Weapon Masters, as it turns out, are pretty good.
Yeah. Also, I think the
Champless is bad, by the way. I think this is just bad.
This one's even more reliant on timelines. Where like the other one has like Jax, he can kind of do some things, and it has like more burn. But yeah, if this one does not draw timelines, it actually does nothing. And
I think that's the big thing with this one is that like it doesn't have as much burn because it's not on like the triple blowback. It doesn't have as much draw because it's not running Parts Made Whole. It doesn't like, you know, get to abuse as many Weapon Masters. Like if you have an answer for Risu, this deck's just not that impressive, I don't think. Like it has some cool things, right? Like Pytos and Pokey being like tempo tools definitely can beat up on you. And like it definitely has like some grind to it. But I know it says that this deck has a 60% win rate. I don't think that this is as good as the Jax Vi timelines.
Like basically every deck that was on the rise had this win rate, right? I think he had it with Jinx Draven. I think like a lot of these decks had it at some point the 60% win rate. So like let's wait a few days and let's see the win rate really, right? Because also like there are good
When
players
there's-
on this deck now. Quacko is a lot of playing. He has like 100 games, and if you see this sample size, it's like Quacko is a lot of dispersion, right? So that's also something to be thinking about.
Yeah, when there's like 3 to 4 like really good players, they're like, like 1 or 2 players like pick it up to begin with. They have a really high win rate, and then like 3 or 4 other good players pick it up, and they're just like fucking like pushing this win rate to the moon. And this happens like every time. It's even Lee Auction, right? Like, what's
Mhm.
Lee Auction's win rate right now, and what was it at the beginning of the patch, right? Like, it really depends in Eternal who is playing the decks. I feel like more than
Rotate too.
anything. Like,
Holy.
Oof.
But-
oh my
but
god.
I- I called it.
and, like, that number. I'm pretty sure that number's fake, by the way. Like, if good players started picking it up again, there's no shot this is a 42% win rate.
Well,
That's
it's
just not
definitely better
real.
than the Viktor one, I would say. So yeah.
49% of the time you draw auction on 2, right? So like it has to have at least a 49% win rate.
Facts, actually facts. But I think we covered the meta. I said if you have something to talk about, but we can maybe move on from the meta. It was the classic 30-minute opener, but I like the meta. I
Yes.
said I think it's cool, but I'm looking forward to go back to standard. I still like standard more than Eternal personally. So yeah.
Yeah, I
Please,
agree with
bro.
that. I did
you guys say that until like it's literally just Cobra combo, bro. We're gonna be playing fucking Cobra combo.
the
We're
whole
gonna be playing
time.
Tycoon Monument. Like
That sounds
What
like
you mean?
fun to
It's
me. I don't know.
What you mean? It's lurk in standard. I don't know. I think you're making shit up.
yeah, that shit's also fake, dude. There's no fucking way. It's literally not possible that Lurk is the best deck. I think it's just all the people who create lists and push like good lists onto the community are all playing Eternal. So like this is what LOR would look like with no content creators. Is what I'm saying. The content creators are saving you from 15% Lurk play rate.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't know. I really do enjoy standard. Like I love the fact that we get to play standard and eternal, because it's like, after 2 months of standard, it's like, okay, we've kind of been playing the same meta for a decent while now. Like, even with the patch, it does shake it up, but like it kind of falls back into the same groove. So then going back into eternal, where like literally like no decks are the same from like standard, usually it's like it's a nice like refresher, and then being able to have this experience, this craziness, and then go straight back into a more tame environment is really nice. I like how Riot has set up the competitive ecosystem right now with the opens.
Yeah, I kind of like the going back and forth. I kind of have hated the last several standard metas. So like something that I notice is I feel like when I play in standard, I'm just playing to win. Like I'm not really enjoying the metas. I'm not really enjoying the decks that we're playing. I'm just playing to win, which is fine. But like it definitely leads to like, more tilt and more apathy towards the meta. And then like I go and get my 1 month of Eternal, it's like, oh shit, I'm getting the fucking dopamine straight into my fucking veins, dude. These Seraphine decks are fucking lighting up the happy chemicals in my brain.
It feels refreshing. Like I said, like it feels refreshing, and I enjoy it. And yeah, but I said I just like more standard more because I think maybe the craziness is just too much. But I guess let's move on. Let's move on to Worlds announcement that we got yesterday, I think. And yeah, that's a big thing, of course. Worlds is coming in December once again. I think it's, when is it? It's 14, 15, 16, I think, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 14, 15, and 16 December. You both guys kind of close to qualifying. Of course, not qualified yet, but you both do very well in NA points. So good luck with that. I'm a little bit first, but I'm still fine, surely. But hey, what do you think about the changes? Because if we're gonna cover it, new thing that we have added is that winner is gonna design a follower card. Second place is gonna design a spell card, and of course we changed the format. It's now 7 rounds of Swiss into double elimination in top 32, into just having 3 matches in the final day: winner bracket finals, loser bracket finals, and grand final. So what are your thoughts? Also, the price pool got a little bit cut. I think how much it was? It was from 200k to 140k. I think.
140. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it got cut by like 30% or so.
So it was
something like that.
60k cut. That's something I guess we kinda, let's be honest, we kinda expect it. But it still seems good, and if you qualified, you're getting 1k dollars. Of course, like back in the time, it was almost 7k. But of course, it was only 16 players because now it's 64. So, but yeah, I think the both Flower and Spell cards are cool. But yeah, what are your thoughts, guys?
I think really cool things. They're redoing the thing where where we're playing on like new expansion. I think that's pretty cool. I think that like the double elim bracket is like pretty cool. I think it's a bummer that we're not doing like a group stage. Even if it was like 8 groups of 8, you like you round robin in there. Because like there's definitely a chance that we go to play Swiss. And then I just play like, round 1 I play Donut, round 2 I play Roji, round 3 I play Drizoth, and it's like, what the fuck? I just played all the Americans players. What the hell? I like the fact that we're not like artificially like forcing international play. I think is a bit of a bummer. I think that looking at this, I think that the format's probably going to be fine. I just wish that there were more international tournaments. I wish that we had more chances for international competition. Like we're shipping off 64 players, so it's like hard to set up this tournament. But if we had like like an MSI with like 16 players or something, like halfway through, like I think that it would feel a lot better, because like the whole point of Worlds is that we want like this big international competition where we can see the different shards play against each other. We could have like this big showcase of talent. And I'm just the format's fine. It's probably going to be good, but I feel like it could be cooler.
I really love Swiss. I like Swiss a lot. It's kind of where I feel like I do the best in, because it allows you like the most room for error. Because like if you have one bad game in a single elim tourney, the run's over, and I don't think that's like very fun. Which is like kind of how last Worlds was, where if you lost in the first round, you went down to the loser bracket, which was you had to play like 5 or 6 more rounds, which was just basically a death sentence. If you
what you mean? I lost first one and then I just won 8. Come on, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's a lot harder to do that. And then once again, if you lose one of those, then you're completely out. Which like I imagine it'll be kind of the same thing for Swiss, where if you do wind up losing like 2, then you'll probably be out. But I don't know. It just feels a lot different. You have room for like tiebreakers to come in and bump people down, and it's pretty exciting. I enjoy Swiss a lot.
The really interesting thing in Swiss, if you start out like 0-2 or 0-3, do you play your last 4 rounds?
Of course you do.
You spent all year getting here, right? Like you have to play them, right?
Of course you have to. I think,
of course.
Yeah, of course. I think of course you do. But I love the Swiss so much more. I was even tweeting about it. I think stupid thing that happened to me, for example, at First Worlds, especially, I got into group and like I know the players have some specific thingies, right? They like some decks that they for example, I can imagine if somebody had, I don't know, Roji last Worlds in the groups, right? Like Roji has his own playstyle, right? And that's something that can just limit you then in your deck selection. So like that you knew the groups before the tournament, right? It was like kind of weird, right? So I do like this much more. I think this is much more healthier. And also like at the own event, I mean, I'm more like she was covering as well the qualifiers. I'm like skipping the qualifiers. I'm like comparing this more to like the main event that we had, right? Where it was like really you lost 1 game in groups and it could have been like end for you really. So that was just the issue, and that's why I like this format much more, because Swiss, I think Swiss is just the best format to have. And yeah, I'm really looking forward for that, hopefully as a player, but if not, I'm gonna be at least enjoying some good show, because it seems pretty hype. I assume that it's not gonna be in person, by the way. It's not gonna be in person, I assume, right?
No.
I don't believe so. No.
Yeah, I think especially
Um,
because like last people are getting qualified on 28 November is like basically impossible, right?
And there's no
Yeah.
fucking way they're flying out 64 people, right? Like that's just not a thing that's happening.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I think the way the math breaks down is that every single X2 makes it to day 2, which is cool. Like cutting to top 16 makes it like, you know,
Isn't
it's
43
a lot
Anna?
easier to get.
Don't you wait? Don't you cut to 32, or do you cut to 16? Oh, top
Cuts to
16.
six.
Oh, top 16.
Yeah,
Okay.
cut 16, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it says.
So every single X2 makes it in, and then like 2 people make it in X3.
Okay.
So yeah, it's I mean, which I think like going X2, that's super doable.
It's
Right?
reasonable. Like,
That's-
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
It's 7 rounds race, right? That's reasonable. Like, if you're 4-3, you should not assume to make it, but even you can make it with 4-3. So yeah, I think that's good, reasonable. But of
Yeah.
course, yeah, it can still vary. Like, you know, as you know, it can say that you, for example, you're gonna meet only NA people, or like, you know, I'm gonna meet only EU people, or whatever. So that can definitely suck, but it's still be
For
high.
you, because
And
you know EU's so free, right? Like it's just like it's
yeah,
free
surely, yeah,
to get
like
to day 2.
surely, yeah. Last top 8, 5 EU players, exactly. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to have the last day. That I think that like they're gonna be giga hype, even though I think that they can be very short because we're gonna have 3 matches, right?
Yeah, I don't why I wonder if that's not entirely right.
So is it, why is
Yeah,
it
it
top
feels
4? How
weird.
are you top 4 in the winner bracket, finals, loser bracket? Is it not top 3? By the way, am I stupid?
Yeah, which is why I think that there's at least one more like set in there.
There's
think
gonna
that
be
there's more going
losers
on.
bracket semifinals, right? I would assume. Or
Yeah,
something.
I assume that they're not correct.
So yeah, it says players will compete for a top 3 spot, and then we cut the top 4.
Yeah, I don't know.
There has to be like
with,
if you have top 4, then you need to have 4 matches, but there's 3 matches, right? So
yeah, we'll see. It's the worlds are always a little bit fucked up, right? Like we won't find out. Question from chat asking about doing a draw to try and make top 16. As far as I know, and by as far as I know, I mean I'm 99.99% sure there literally aren't draws in
you cannot make draw,
LOR's
right?
like current tournament stuff. Like they have ways to determine winners for like literally everything.
There's
going
like
down the
higher
entire
seed,
line.
right? If you draw twice in the same series, you get the higher seed gets the game win.
Yeah, it comes down to higher seed at some point. Like there just aren't draws.
Draw is
in
impossible.
Current LOR competitive. Like we'll see if it's different come Worlds, but yeah, there just are not draws currently. Which is probably good, by the way. I think intentional drawing is cringe as fuck. I didn't play card games, so I didn't play like paper card games, so you know I didn't get indoctrinated into just accepting that you're allowed to collude with your opponents. Magic players stay malding, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
No, I think overall the lowering of the prize pool like definitely sucks. I think that like is a bummer. I think the event as a whole looks like it's going to be pretty fun. I'm hoping to qualify for it. You know, Prage. We'll fucking see, I guess.
But I said like still guaranteed 1K. That's like that's still a lot, right? That's like winning Classic Open. Like I think like of course like if you qualified back in the day, it was so so much. It was so good, right? But like imagine the people that didn't get in, right? There's the 2021, right? Jersey, no, it was in 2022, right? In EU, for example. The people that just were like 17, right? But they got $0, right? So that was like big bummer. Yeah. Even though like it's gonna suck in the last chance qualifier if you're gonna make top 4 because you get nothing. But
yeah, you have to top 2 it, right?
Yeah,
first and second
2.
place. Which it looks like it's basically the same format as
it's open.
Runeterra Open.
Yeah, it's just open, but without pricing. But the first 2 places get to words.
Yeah, without prizing, but like you get the 1K if you
if you get first. But they will the match will be played or not? Because there's like first and second. Don't you? That's kind of weird, no? Like will you play for not? I guess for seeding maybe.
Probably for seeding, I would assume. Price pool for World seems hella small. Sorry, reading from chat again. One thing to keep in mind is that they're inviting 64 players. and
64
every single person
yeah.
walks away with at least $1,000, right? So like that very first tier is like $32,000, which is you know, as much as like, well, it's not quite as much. It's what 80% of what first place got last time. The overall prize pool is lower, right? It went from like 200K to 140 or something. Like it's definitely lower.
It's a low, but I think that's
it's not like
it's not bad.
Like offensive.
I would assume it would be worse, by the way. Like I didn't expect it to be this way, honestly. I was like expecting, especially for like these players or something like that, I expected much less to be this. I think that we have guaranteed 1K is pretty cool. I expected much less.
Yeah, $100 a pat on the ass, like
yeah,
good job, good hustle out there.
Exactly.
It's gonna be so. I could not imagine grinding out all fucking year, and then I make it to Worlds, and I like fucking 0-3 the Swiss. Like there's no way. There's no. My mental would not survive.
Yeah, it would be rough.
But it makes you not grinding.
In here about. Is there anything in here about swapping lists from day 1 to day 2?
I didn't see anything.
No,
I'm gonna assume you can't.
No, it's gonna be the same. It's gonna be completely the same, like as it used to be. And so that was my question. And I don't know if we have somewhere in chat or I don't know on my YouTube. If the deck's gonna be set before expansion or after expansion, because that's a big thing. Because this tournament is happening 8 days after expansion release, and last time we as a Worlds players we didn't have any time to play at live patch. So that's very interesting to see because of course live patch changes a lot thing, right? Because like you are able to grind so many games, but you know, if you have 2 days off ladder, you have so many games by so many people, right? And you have maybe like data, you have like some maybe it's also much faster to maybe test deck if it's good on the ladder because it's just taking less time as well. So
we could still look at the dates, right? So like the 14th is a Thursday. The 6th when patch comes out is Wednesday. Like I think that the earliest the deck lock would be Monday the 11th. That's what it was for the first Worlds. I think like, that second Worlds was like what 20 was like Tuesday night, I think.
It was like a couple nights before.
It was
I think it was Tuesday night. I think it was the night before shit hit live.
No, and Monday night I think it was.
Yeah. So I think like Monday the 11th would be like the assumption. So you get like 5 days on patch, which I think that's what. Oh, go ahead.
Didn't we had to like lock our decks so early in the first Worlds? I think we had to lock them so early, and then we waited like a week to them to release them or something like that.
It was Monday or like Sunday night. It was Sunday night or like Monday. Because like I remember that like the day that we locked, like the next day, people were playing like Poppy Zigs on ladder. And it's like, oh fuck, wait, this is the most broken deck of the format. Why did nobody find this?
Yeah. It was the fourth Worlds, but of course last Worlds was interesting that there was no live patch at all for us as a competitors. So it was
Dude, if we got acolytes, oh my god, Worlds would have been insane.
It's a good thing we didn't get it. It's a good thing people didn't find acolyte. Could you imagine though, the one person who comes in and like everyone memes their list until like they actually play it, it's like, wait, this shit's broken.
Yeah, man. Imagine the 6-5 attacking and they were like, but it's fine. We got Donut BaJAtak, so you know it's fine.
Donut not being able to afford second or third Aatrox. He just he was ahead of his time, honestly. He just knew that at the end of the day we'd end up running 1 or 2 Aatroxes. It's just he didn't realize yet that we'd be playing 6 champions still. You know, he just went with 4. It's the 10-edge strat.
I'm just hype. It's so sad that we don't fly the people, but where we do fly the people, it's in a Mr. event that we get a little bit info, I guess, that it's gonna be happen in the first months of 2024, and that you cannot qualify anymore. So that was 2 news that we got, and that they're gonna invite some content creators.
I could cope on that. That's my invite right there. I gotta get the content creator invite.
you know, I'm making EU Opencast. You know, I'm making content as well. You know, like hit me up. You know, smile.
Smile. It's a lot cheaper to fly me out than it is to fly buyout. So I mean,
I will be much more happier than I gotta, you know. Like,
Okay, bro.
I need smaller hotel room, you know. It's
But yeah, no, it should be pretty cool. I'm excited for the event. It's kind of weird that we still don't know anything about it, but it's cool. And like it means that we'll have something at the beginning of the year. I think going into next year, I hope that we start the whole like seasons and everything much earlier, because we started this one in like
Yeah.
fucking April or May, right? And like it feels like everything is so scrunched up. Like I don't know if you've looked, but we're playing like fucking tournaments. Like we're playing like 3 tournaments across like 6 weeks.
So
In
question,
like November, December.
did we get info when is the last chance qualifier? Because
Yeah, it's right there.
it's
says right
the
there.
thinking, but
25th.
when is the last open before that? And is it standard or eternal?
So the last one's gonna be Eternal.
Mhm.
And it's gonna be like, well, I mean, I don't know, like a week and a half before this, probably 2 weeks before this.
Yeah, I
would
would
assume.
assume so.
So like over like a 6-week period, there's gonna be like 3 major Riot tournaments.
Paul.
Yeah, so
It's kind of squeezed in, but yeah, it seems like. So of course, would love like
so,
I assume it's gonna be community cast again, so it's also gonna be hype if we're gonna get something like we have now with Aegis, right? Or something like that.
I'm just I'm hoping that we start next year a little bit earlier so that
Mhm.
there's less crunch. Because that's what
Yeah.
it feels like. It feels like across the board we have been crunching together every single tournament and like squeezing everything together. Starting 2 months early be kind of nice.
Well, like we had beta season though last time, so you know, and I guess we're not gonna have beta season anymore. So I think it's gonna be much more doable.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's definitely hype. So yeah, let's move on. We had what we have talked about. I guess Mastering Contra Open. We had it this week. We look at the deck stats. I think that's something interesting for us. Of course, the meta is this is Saturday, right? So it's already a few days. The meta's still gonna evolve. I think in a very last open there was some new deck popping off these days. So I can reverse your tweet. I guess it's the the Infinity deck.
Infinity deck, bro. I'm gonna make scouts broken, like,
Okay.
and then everyone's gonna swap over. We're gonna end up on Aatrox anyway in this tournament because everyone's gonna be trying to beat scouts. It's the
Exactly.
it's the natural order of things.
But last time we were
yeah,
right, both of us, right? Seraphine it was, and it was Jugs Wells by me, you know, like we were right last time.
The deck that I think people are forgetting about, and they forgot about last Eternal. You can see it right there, number 11 on the list. Jayce Lux. I think this deck is really fucking good. I think that people are playing like kind of sus lists right now.
Yeah.
But I think that this deck is like really good. This deck just beats ass. I would expect this deck to be like a dark horse. Again, this is why there's like 40 really good decks. Because like Jayce Lux is like one of the best decks of the format. And like I don't even know if it's, you know, something that people would list in like their top 10.
Like if they summon a Lux and you don't have an answer to it literally on turn 5, she's gonna start just gunning you down, and you're gonna lose the game because they're gonna formula and then they're gonna play like Hex Obliterate. Then half your board is gone for like 0 mana, and you're just like, what happened to my entire board? The game's over. Okay, and then some Dumbledore, and it's a whole thing.
It has so many must-kill targets, and like even you would think like, okay, bro, I'm playing Auction Samira. Like I'm gonna give my guy tough, and it's gonna have like 10 health. They can't kill that. Says man who just got double Hex Obliterated into double lasered, and it's just like they can kill that. They are going to kill that, and they're gonna go wider than you. The other deck that everyone forgets about is Tristana SI. I think that deck is also pretty solid right now. It's not like incredible. It's not like gonna, you know, amaze anybody, but I think it's very much a good deck. Like I think that these are kind of like the dark horse decks that like we know are good and are going to show up.
Yeah, Tristana's always been like just really good ever since her buff, and especially to the Bandle Gunner buff as well. She's just kind of been a staple in both Eternal and in Standard, which is really cool. Seeing that she's playable in both, even though all her decks they're kind of the same, but at the same time they're
so
very different from each other in how they win.
This is Contra. This is not like Aggro. This is not mid-range. This is just Contra deck. Let's be honest on that. Like you're just controlling the
Yeah.
game, especially with things like minion and of course like finish your atrocity with big Tristana or something. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was playing this deck. I was playing this deck because like Floppy played it day one, and like Floppy brought it back like last tourney too, and like it ended up being really good last Eternal, and I'm like, fuck, I hate this deck. But I need to play it. I need to play it because it comes back every time, and yeah, it feels really solid. It's
And
just a solid collection of cards.
it beats aggro as well, right? So that's the.
It shits on
Yeah.
aggro. It absolutely shitstomps aggro.
So yeah, that's
Yeah,
also
no,
like
it's-
big selling point of this because like we see the rise of the aggro. I don't know how much aggro we saw on the Master though. Quite a lot, like the Avenging 12, MFTF 10, and Agent 6. That's quite a lot of showing of aggro. But
yeah, aggro's really good. I mean, aggro's really good. I think that if you wanted to, you could definitely just jam aggro this season and do really well. Yeah.
Aggro being good into the auction decks, into probably even timelines, and also being good in like the Fiora, Demacia type decks, has aggro in just like in such an amazing position, and allows it to kind of thrive. As those are some of the bigger decks in the meta.
The really fucked up thing, I think, looking at day 2 specifically, is I think a lot of people are going to run like one aggro deck in their lineup. Just because like I think triple aggro like isn't necessarily the way to go. I think just running something like discard. I think discard is just like broken enough that you could just like kind of throw it into a lineup. I think like day 2 especially, we're gonna see like Draven Jinx is just like people's third decks. Yeah, no, I think that there's a lot to be played there if you will like aggro. Last Eternal, I literally played against Cup, who hit me one time with Draven on turn 3, and then burnt me out from 17. So you know it's it's real.
I would
Sounds like
go
a skill
down.
issue.
Yeah,
You shouldn't have taken
skill
that damage, honestly.
Yeah. I imagine like have you thought about blocking? You know, like you can block Draven. Like
Bro, so that's the thing is that it was Draven was his 4th unit, so that was my bad. I blocked and killed the first 3. I
should have had a 4th unit. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's aggro good. I think Thresh is surprisingly good. But again, it's just an
right?
aggro deck.
Like also it beats aggro. So like that's the big thing for Trishnasus. And on stats, I don't know why, but it's beating Invoke as well. I don't understand how is that happening.
Because it's literally just an aggro deck. So the thing is that Blighted Caretaker is a really fucked up card, and if you have like the Blighted Caretaker curve with like a Reaper, like you just blow so many people off board. It's literally just an aggro deck.
Just like 4 or 5 wide on turn 3, pulling their only 2 units to the side. It's like just infinite damage.
Wait, do you play Tipper and Dag now? Or what is going on?
I don't know about that one. That seems a little troll.
A lot of people are undying because they're running like Camvorn Dragon.
And also people playing like the Hellbrand. I think that weapon is pretty good, by the way. But...
did you see the Infini won the MR thing yesterday with
I haven't seen that.
Senna Altar of Blood, turn 6 Tarosh. It certainly is a collection of cards.
I tend to not look at Mustang Open dailies. I think like there's some good players, of course, in it, but every time there was like very weird winners often. So
yeah,
it's just like people, good players cooking. That's of course the thing.
Broken deck, broken deck. Okay, are you ready? This one, I don't know if it shows up, but I do think this deck kind of nuts. Pisukaru has been playing Jayce Rise, and I know what you're thinking, like, why would you play Jayce Rise? It's Glorious Evolution, and like every single bullshit card that you can play on the Glorious Evolution turn. You're running like Acorn and Clockman. Let me try and find it. If you look up Pisukaru, he's like number 5 on Apex ladder or something. But it literally just like if you resolve Glorious Evolution, you win the game on the same turn, no matter what.
Yes, 0% win rate, but
Well, I watched him win some games, so you know, you have to scroll more. Scroll more.
Oh, he's on field promotions now.
Okay, I don't know what the fuck the field promotion is. I'm not signing off on
So
field
you can
promotion.
give everything scout too, Icado.
He got Jayce. He got Jayce.
All I know is, bro, fucking Poro Story is kind of crazy. Coins are kind of crazy. You know, Trigger Trade. It's like all in Glorious Evolution combo. And there's so many ways to discount it with Acorn and Clockling. That like, I mean,
Yeah, but
I'm
I've
not gonna
seen
tell you
this
that
deck.
that's broken.
I've seen
but
this
it
deck like
is.
with bundles in there, like with Seraphine or something like that, I think. And it wasn't bad. Like it
It's
wins
the old
games.
Shellhook deck, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's like this is like the Glorious Evolution Shellhook deck. Just you know, it's all in. It's playing Poro Stories.
Mm-hmm. It's 100% all in on the Glorious Evo.
Yeah. I do think the
Certainly
card
looks
is good, and
very
like
silly.
also we don't have that much deny as well now, so like I don't think the deck is bad, by the way. Like I think it's a tactic that
It
you're gonna
probably
meet in
shits on
open
Invoke.
and you're gonna lose. Yeah, I think Invoke is because they don't have like also that good answer to Acorn usually. But like if you get double Acorn, you have Glorious, you're just gonna win. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like that's what just happened.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
no, Glorious, yeah, is ramp too, dude. This is such a
I don't know.
So yeah, I see the combo, right? Like you play the Glorious Evo, and then you play
Stop
your
monument.
field promotions
my God.
into Adaptatron. So now everything gets Scout, and then you play Acorn. So now everything's Scout elusive.
Oh, so you set
Dude,
up
I'll
coin
be honest
with
with
play
you.
Sherbets, you get coin, so it goes 0 mana, you know?
oh my god, it's
I'll be honest with you.
broken.
The Adaptatrons, you know, are doing a little bit too much cooking. You know, homie's cooking too much. But
Why
yeah,
are we
no,
playing
it
Cosmic
do be
all of
winning.
This is a build your Pantheon at home, like.
Why are we
Yeah,
playing
no, it's
Cosmico though? Like, what is the purpose of Cosmico? Like, if you miss or what?
it's for the deny matchups. You just play Cosmic. You just win, right?
Okay, 5
You just
5
always hit LL, bro.
I get you, I get you, I get you.
Yeah, yeah. No, this is a collection of cards.
Yeah.
Karu always cooking. APAC always cooking. Yeah.
Yeah. Something that we didn't touch, even though, of course, very good cooks. I'm gonna leave it to APAC. I wouldn't be surprised if I just see the day I wake up in day 2 that Karu just won the APAC. I'm gonna be like, holy, what I'm supposed to do now? But we got the Emporium update. What were their thoughts about the new? I guess it didn't get much change, but what are your thoughts about the? We didn't talk that much about Emporiums since last episode was 2 weeks ago. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about Rout's feedback and how they approach that?
So,
go ahead. First.
I was just gonna say, first iteration of Emporium obviously had like some fucked up prices and like had some bugs that they had to fix, and like some time frame stuff that like obviously was like a bit out of the ordinary. You know, it's like 4 months for one thing to rotate, and like it was like 500,000 green shards for a card back. Like it was a little iffy. But I do think that like it's a good thing that Riot is, you know, monetizing this old content and giving people an option to like get a hold of it. I think that some of the prices are, you know, a little expensive. They went through and like changed some of them, I think. And like I'm just hoping that I roll my Sentinel board. Like, please, dear God, Riot, give me the Sentinel board chroma. I just want it. I haven't gotten it yet. Please let me get it.
I have 2 now. I have 2 in shop, and I was thinking if we were talking yesterday with Roji, I was in his chat, and he was like, wondering if we should buy it because I'm so used to my KDA boat, but I have the Raven one that you want. I gotta.
And I have the Ribbon one as well. I'm staring at it.
This is so when these boards first came out, I was broke as shit. I couldn't afford it. But then like I topped and then I made it to Worlds, and at Worlds we were playing on unlocked accounts, and I was like, ooh, Red Sentinel auction board. So this was like this Red Sentinel auction board was like the peak of my Legendary Runeterra career, and I haven't been able to play it since. It's why I've been washed. I need Riot to give me this goddamn board. That's how I make it back to Worlds.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Overall, I think that like Riot had like a pretty quick response to it. I think that's good. I think some of the people were, a little doomer on it. I think that the people that were like, farming, Riot's the greediest company on the planet. Riot's killing LOR with all their greed. I think that was really cringe because like obviously the numbers just like weren't there, and we could just say numbers aren't here. I'm not going to buy it right now. I think that like the people who just wanted to farm the farm the YouTube clicks were really fucking cringe.
Well,
But
yeah, I get you.
yeah.
I do agree with you. I do still think I was tweeting about it. I'm gonna find it. I think still that some prices are maybe off. I think especially these. I think especially I think normal. By the way, normal like normal cardbacks are completely fair priced, but these KDA signed ones are just like I think a little bit more too expensive because. Wait, I'm gonna find the Spirit Blossom because that like costs 700 coins and that's like completely fine, right? But like. I think
they're
something's
definitely really expensive.
Yeah.
But like, we could just not buy them, right?
Yeah, sure. But
We
like,
just,
when you see then this, right, with the Spirit Blossom that costs 700, right? That like, there's the same rarity, right? Like, here I have even bigger discount, right? Like,
they're not the same rarity, right? The rarity you're seeing there is like that's the rarity for like that roll slot, right? Which is to say, like that roll slot is like your discounted slot, right? So that's what makes it legendary. It's not the card back itself. Like very obviously, Spirit Blossom is like a basic of the basic of the basic card back, right? Whereas like KDA was like very exclusive, and like the sign thing, I didn't play during KDA. I assume you had to like buy a specific bundle or something.
No, it wasn't. It was pass. It was pass, and in the beginning were the normal ones, and in
why are there signed and not signed ones?
It was in the same pass. It was in the same pass. In the beginning, you had non-signed, and in the late of the pass, you had the signed ones. So they were in the same pass. So
I like they're not like the same level of rarity on the cards, right? So I think it's like reasonable for it to cost a little bit more. I think $15 is crazy. I'm never gonna spend $15 on this shit. I'm not that much of a KDA simp. But like, yeah, I think some of the prices are a bit crazy, right? And if some of the prices are crazy, we just like don't buy them,
it, yeah.
And then Riot can like see the stats and be like, oh, nobody's buying these KDA stuff, but people are buying this other thing that's more reasonably priced.
I think skins are reasonably priced that you pay like to the like classic cost of common, but of course they are not reachable. I think like, the action skin is definitely worth it. I think like the Varus skin is worth it and stuff. I think the birds, I think also fine price. Like they're just right the price. I get it. Maybe a little bit expensive though. I think like birds are overall kind of cheap to be honest because I think like it's an investment and you have it forever. Yeah, like you see it in every single game, and yeah, I think it's reasonable to. How many? It's $25 for the Sentinels Chromas, so I think that's fine.
Which I think
something like that, yeah.
I think 25 is a lot. Like I'm gonna pay it if I see it because I like the board and I know I'm gonna use it like every game, right? I'm gonna get my value out of it. I think 25 is a lot. I would prefer it's like 20 or something. I would feel pretty okay about that. 25 feels like a lot, but like
I can see that.
It's fine. I think a lot of the price, like at the end of the day, like this is content that we otherwise just like wouldn't have access to, and like I'm fine paying a premium on it. Yeah, and like if you don't like the prices, if they just aren't there, you could just be like, hey, right, I don't think this is enough for me. I'm not getting enough value. Then you don't buy it, and then Riot sees that, and they're like, oh shit, maybe we'll change the price in the future.
Yeah, I really like the change where they made it so a lot of the items don't stay in your shop for like 4 weeks anymore. Like
up to 4 weeks. It's 1 day to up 4 weeks now. What I know.
Yeah. So like I had the orange Sentinel board that only lasted for like a day and it just expired and I just refreshed whatever that was. So now like I have something completely new there because like I wasn't gonna buy that board, but let's see what I get in the next day. Because this just expires every single day, and it's like, oh, it's a pet that I don't want. Maybe I'll hit another board that I like eventually.
So about
I've been getting nothing but fucking pets.
Just buy passes. If you bought pass, I guess you were supposed to play. I have a lot of them, but yeah,
they're like old pets from like when I didn't play the game. So it's like
the Spirit Blossom, I would assume, yeah. But of course, like it's like crazy, like to call it like Predator or something. Like I said, like $25 is a lot, but if you have one game, well, that like for $25 you have even less. So I think it's still fine. It's still a reasonable price to like touch it on that. And they also address the issues, they will be adding us to the pins. We had the stream, right? And yeah, I think like it's slowly but surely gonna get good, and we're gonna be happy about it. The shards were fucked up, but like also like something that was touching, like I have million shards, and like if the shards offer are cheap, then I'm just gonna buy everything. And that's something that you don't want to make, right? As well, so yeah. Yeah, they completely disabled the shard options in the shop, and they're gonna rework them. But I said like, I think they were overpriced, of course, but I don't think they were that much overpriced. But of course, it feels kind of weird to show it. I don't know if you're newbie to the game and you see the shard offer for the crazy number that you don't have, right? So it can
As
be
someone who,
definitely
like,
weird.
I've like had a completed collection for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. You know, you look at the prices and like I have like 750,000 shards. Like I could buy like 2 things with shards, right? Based on the prices. It's really expensive. Like at the end of the day, like Riot is taking our feedback and like, you know, is making changes, and like they want the system to be something that people engage with. And I think that's good, right? And I think the communication around it's solid. My main gripe is with the people that just want to like, you know, hop on that train. These are the same people that have been asking for this feature for like, you know, a year. They're like, oh my god, Riot, please, you know, let us buy this whole stuff. We'll pay extra. It's fine. And then it comes out and like, instead of, you know, giving Riot a chance to iterate on it and like make changes, they're like, no, fuck you, Riot, you greedy pieces of shit. That's my main gripe.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think people were just too on Riot, and I think especially it's so seemed that they want it to work. So I'm really looking forward how they're gonna make it, and we will see, I guess. I guess we are out of team. So if you have something to talk, guys, if you want, we can touch on that. Or if we have any questions in the chat, we can cover them up. But that was everything we had to talk about.
Yep. I mean, I can complain about Snap. Did you see that tweet from the Yu-Gi-Oh player, the Team APS guy?
Oh yeah,
like, what's the best digital only card game?
I'm gonna find it.
I do think that Brokeball is 100% right, by the way. Because like I was reading through like a lot of the replies, and I was thinking the same thing, where it's like a lot of people are like, LR is the best monetization, LR is the best monetization, LR is the best monetization. And true, LR does have the best monetization. But like when that's the only thing people bring up, it sounds like our game sucks ass.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like our game sucks. I do think it's important that, you know, I think Brokeball is 1,000,000,000% right, that like, you know, pointing out like things other than just the monetization is important as well.
Just be like that. It's free, like, you know, yeah, you have free games, but if they suck, then like whatever, like, you know, like be like, you know, the mana system. I exactly do agree with that. I didn't like it, but I saw them before. That was like, I definitely agree with that. Like, you know, spell mana is amazing. That you able to answer your opponent when he plays something. You know, like that's something I hated in Hearthstone. I was just playing. I didn't need to be there when he plays, right? So like, it's just. It's not only the monetization. The monetization is just a bonus, and it should not be like the selling point of the game, I think.
Yeah, I think that like the monetization is like a, you know, get people in thing, right? It's like, we're not going to milk you for, you know, $400. We're not Marvel Snap. But at the same time, like LR just does so much right. I really do think the big thing is that like you both play on the same turn. You both play on the same turn. You're both going back and forth. You both untap every single turn. I think that just like creates such a great environment where you're both actively engaging with the game at the same time. You know, especially, you know, you look at like Snap, you don't care about what your opponent's doing a lot of the time. Like you could just like close your eyes and just like play your shit out. And you know, Hearthstone, obviously, like you take very specific turns. You can't engage with your opponent only on their turn. You know, we call, you know, dog shit lethal Hearthstone lethal, right? It's like you don't, it's not real lethal, because if your opponent like has cards that do anything, then you know you obviously aren't actually going to find lethal. But you know, in Hearthstone, you just don't have to care about what your opponent's doing. Like you do, but you know, you don't. You just,
you have lethal. You have lethal.
there's so many dynamics in like the back and forth and like actually playing a game against a human being I don't know if like these other games change that much if you're playing against
yeah.
a bot. You know?
That's not as said like as we have in chat. Like art is amazing. I just enjoy like watching the art of cards. You know, they are just so amazing. It's like something for me special. For example, like I'm playing League for 10 years, you know, and like seeing these characters that I know from League, now seeing them in like different form is also like some selling point for me. For example, it was the first why I get to the game because I was playing League and I was like playing Hearthstone. I was like, okay, I guess this is like combination of them, right? If you look at it, so that was also selling point for me when I started. So yeah, this game has so much to offer. I think the UI of the game that I think we talked about it like a few episodes back. Like, man, how nice LR looks when you play it. Like, I don't know. Have you ever played Magic, right? The Magic Online and stuff. Like, how bad it looks. But when you play LR, it's just like
Yu-Gi-Oh! Online. Oh my god.
everything is so smooth. Like, like every animation, everything's so smooth, and it just looks amazing. And that's what was selling
Before
point
playing
for me.
LOR, I had seen like like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Online stuff. There's like I don't remember what it's called, it's like Duel Book or something. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Online like does this thing where after every single action, it like pops up a box, where it's like, do you want to respond with your cards? Do you want to respond with your cards? Do you want to respond with your cards? It's like a fucking pop-up dialogue box every time. And that shit pissed me off. And LOR kind of does the same thing where it gives you the option, you have to okay everything, but it does in like a non-intrusive way, and it doesn't make me want to like jump off a bridge. Like Master Duel, the official client, does the same thing every single action. It's like, you can activate your card. Do you want to activate your card? Here's your card. I'm showing you your card. Do you want to activate it? It's like, I don't. The last like 6 times I did want to activate it. Stop asking me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also the eye, right? Like, we don't have to do math. We just use eye that gonna do it for us, right? Like, that's also just a thing that I just value so much. And
also, yeah, we're looking at the Broken Ball retweet, but the original tweet is from Paul, who's part of APS, which is it's a Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like a YouTube Yu-Gi-Oh! Group. So like, but yeah, the replies did have quite a few people, mentioning LR. LR mentioned, and LR
and there's like
in the
gems, right? Like gems, like like monetization, but it's not all, right? It's not only monetization. Economy, right? Once again, like it's just not only the reason, right, why the game is good.
Yeah, no, LR just has so much good. I think that at the end of the day, I think that Blizzard will actively fuck over its players, just because it can. Snap will actively fuck over its players, to make a little bit of money. LOR, I think, actually cares about its fucking players. Like, weirdly enough, yeah, I don't know. There's so many reasons that LOR is so much better than these other card games. But we're all playing it, right? Like, I don't know if I need to sell it to you
like,
guys.
I wouldn't like get
there's
Snap.
a reason why we're playing.
Yeah, there's a reason, of course, and we are like kind of biased, of course. But also, I'm gonna be a little bit biased. I don't think that Hearthstone is that bad as Snap. I think like Snap is just the the bad thing, and of course, Hearthstone has bad thing. It had like now the 3 signature legendaries for $50 or something like that. But I think Hearthstone is also fine. But Snap is fucked. Snap
I never
is
got
like,
into Hearthstone because, like, I was broke, so I couldn't afford Hearthstone. Literally, the most amazing thing about LOR is I came into LOR broke as shit, and then like I qualified for Worlds, and like, the fact that you don't have to put anything in LOR, any money in, like, it really is massive for me personally. I could have never gone pro in like Hearthstone or something, right? Because you have to like actually pay to keep up. I couldn't have gone pro in like MTG.
like FAP,
LOR
right?
like drop like $1,000 for a single MTG deck. It's insane.
Yeah. It's also like flesh and blood, right? That's the same thing. Like, I think that just allowed us the special thing that you can be anywhere you can be from anywhere, and you can just make you can make it big because the decks aren't just cheap. If you are better, also I think that like if you are the best player in LOR, you're just gonna be like, of course you're not gonna be consistent in winning, but you're gonna be consistent like topping the tournaments at least, and yeah. That's just a big thing for me.
All the tournaments are usually free too, so like everything for this is it's like so monetary friendly.
Yeah. No, there was the other tweet that went viral, where like the Pokemon players were like, "Oh, you can buy the world's winning Pokemon deck for $30 or something, right?" And of course, you know, every single MTG player, every single Yu-Gi-Oh player gets ass mad about it. Well, actually, I mean, so the reason why you can't buy the World Winning deck is for $30. It's, you know, or Pokemon, it's a kid's game. Of course, you can buy it for $30. You know, we're saying over here, it's like, yeah, I mean, LOR, bro. You have to go out of your way to spend $30 on a deck. Like, come on, you have to really be trying.
Aatrox costs $30. What you mean? Aatrox Vayne costs $30.
Aatrox is fucked up. Aatrox.
Fucking epics, man. And I had to buy it for ages last season, man. I was like, sure broke. Guess that we good that we won that. But
True. All right. Well, shit. Was there anything else you wanted to go over?
I have nothing.
No.
So, thank you guys for my virgin.
Well,
and
yeah,
next
thanks,
time.
Roji, for
Thank you guys so much for having me on. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Roji.
Yeah,
Thank you, Roji.
anytime, bud.
Goodbye.